let me just tell you that I am scared. But I also am super into this book. I just got a root canal. My face got more swollen up from this side. I don't think there was a single person in this book that I liked except maybe the dog, but the dog didn't really like do anything. It was a dog, so clearly the people of GoodReads do not read the books. Hello there and welcome to my most ambitious video yet, where I read the top 10 books of the mystery and thriller genre of the year 2021. Now, it was a labor of love, but also a labor of a lot of annoyment. I don't know if that's a word. That is not a word, but you get what I mean. There were a lot of technical issues and just a lot of things that happened along the way that like sort of like it threatened to derail this project. But if you are seeing this, that means that I actually sat down, edited this entire video, figured out all the technology stuff, and got you to watch this. So that's exciting. Thank you so much for watching. You are awesome. But let me tell you what exactly you are going to be seeing in this video. Essentially in this video you are going to see me reading the top 10 books according to the GoodReads Choice Awards. Now the GoodReads Choice Awards, if you don't know, is like an awards thing on the GoodReads platform that's been happening for more than 13 years now. I think this is the 13th year itself, and essentially it's a popularity contest, but they put in their top 20, and then from the top 20 there's the top 10, and we as readers get to vote for the best of that. Now say what you may about the GoodReads Choice Awards, I think that like it's essentially a popularity contest. It's like the People's Choice Awards but for books. So well you know, it may not be the best that wins, but you'll see. But what happened this year was that I really got back into reading thrillers. Thrillers used to be like my favorite genre when I was growing up, and they provide me with so much of love and comfort that like, I don't know, I just really got back into it this year. I also devised this whole thing where I judge like thriller based on like my 5 criteria, which I really look into, which is plot, writing, characters, pacing, and suspense. I think these 5 things are the most important, and I've done a bunch of videos where I've like ranked like thrillers and mysteries based on this. So I thought that I would do it this year for the top 10 GoodReads Choice Award like nominees, and then like see what I think of them based on these like 5 criteria that I have. And honestly, this is like inspired by Books and Lala, or like Kayla, who is amazing. She's like honestly the queen of BookTube. She's been doing this for a few years now. She's now moved on to doing this for the horror category, and she's obviously already like put up a video like 40 million years ago. And I am kind of just getting into it now because here's what happened. I lost a lot of data. There are a lot of files that got corrupted. I got some back, which is great. Some I did not, like the intro and then the end. So that's amazing. But so I will come in as like editings for the year to come and tell you what I was saying back then. So here's what I did. I put together a list of all the 20 books that were nominated, and I put down all their star rating, which is like how highly a book was rated from 1 to 5, with 5 being the highest, and also how many people actually rated this book, because since we said that it's going to be a popularity contest, it matters like how many people actually like read the book. I basically then did a top 10 based on rating and top 10 based on stars, and then I saw the books that were there on both of those lists, and I decided to read that first. So we had 4 books that were on both of those lists, which were the top rated as well as the most read. So those 4 were Billy Summers, which luckily I'd already read, and I have an entire review for, like a dedicated review for, so you can check that out. I will link you to it. I do this whole like rating thing on that as well as The Push, which has been on my radar for a long period of time, The Good Sister, and Local Woman Missing. So those were the 4 books that I definitely needed to hit first. And then after that, I also added some other books based on like what I generally thought were like really popular, also like highly rated, what I thought would be in the top 10 list. And I'm just gonna put that list here for you to see what I thought would be in the top 10. And then I thought that I would like hit out these books and kind of read them. And now you can go to the vlog aspect of it because, well, I started reading them. Welcome to day 2, though technically it should be day 1 because day 1 was just spent on like calculating stuff. That was yesterday. Anyway, I have started reading Local Woman Missing by Mary Kubica. This is a book that I've heard a lot of really good things about, and I absolutely hate the cover. Like, you can see the US cover here, which has like woods and all of that sort of stuff. It doesn't look that bad, and then you look at this one, which is just like a pink shoe in a puddle, and I'm just like, this does not give what it's supposed to give.
It was supposed to give, but it did not give what needed to be gave to the highest of giving, if that makes any sense.
But anyway, I'm really liking this so far. It's basically about like a mother and daughter who go missing, and many years later the girl is found, and we're just kind of going through various like different timelines. One is 11 years ago and one is in current day, and we're seeing from various people's perspective as to like what may have happened and what is happening right now, and it's really nice. I have found the audiobook version of this as well, which is good. It is a multiple cast narration thingy, so I'm liking it, and let's see where we go with it. I'm about 103 pages in, and I'm supposed to, according to my calculations, read 184 pages every day, if I have to stay on track with like phase 1, which is like till the first round is done. I did a lot of calculations yesterday. Anyway, so yeah, I'm gonna get back to reading a little more. Luckily, I am not so sleepy, so that is good. I'm gonna continue reading, sitting in my pajamas, and let you know what I think soon. Hi, it is 2:30 in the morning now, and I am on page 240, and I think I've figured out what has happened. So I have a hunch, and I sort of want to see whether I'm right about this hunch or not. So I'm gonna continue reading. I think there are about 110 pages more to go, and I think I'm just gonna sit down and read them because I know I'm not gonna be able to sleep if like I don't know if I'm right or wrong. You know what I mean? Like that, just that thing nagging you in the back of your head, and you're just like, I could be right, I could be wrong. And I just spend way too much time just like wondering if I was right or wrong. Instead, I just spend that time in like reading the book and seeing for sure. I don't know if you are like me or not, but I hope that like you understand where I'm coming from. But so far I'm really liking the book. I think that it's really well done. I like the different perspectives. I like that we're jumping between timelines. It's keeping things fresh. But yeah, that's that's all I wanted to say. Hello, I am sitting in the same place that I was yesterday, but like it's a new day now. So anyway, what I wanted to say was that I finished the book last night itself. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really good, and today's been a super busy day, so it is about like 8ish right now, and I have to now get ready because I'm going out with my brother. We are gonna see like a music gig thingy. It's gonna be my first in almost 2 years since the pandemic. Like I haven't gone out anywhere for like a music thing, so I'm excited about this one. And yeah, that's basically it. Today I haven't really read much, so I'm really happy that I finished like my allocated hours or whatever, like my pages yesterday itself. So this is good. I will come back to you tomorrow with my thoughts on the book. And yeah, meanwhile, I'd also put up like on Instagram, like here you can see I'd put up a story about like which book should I read next, and people have chosen The Push. So I guess I'm gonna start with The Push tomorrow. So that's excellent. I will see you tomorrow. We are here to finally discuss this book that I finished reading, and I'm so sorry that it has taken so long in this vlog for me to review like one book. But here we are, finally. We are here to talk about this book, which I read and I liked. Is it going to be like a new thriller favorite? Probably not. However, is it going to be a book that I recommend to people if they want a good like thriller mystery book? Yes, definitely. A lot of people who I really respect in like the bookish community have said that it's a bit over the top, and I totally understand what they're trying to say, especially with regards to the end. I was just like, what was that? But it's cool. I still really liked it. And let's just get into it with regards to like my criteria, so that I can talk about this book in like a more like cohesive manner. So the first one is plot, and with regards to plot, I think I would give this like a 7.5, because while it was good in terms of what it had to say and what it was trying to do, and there were certain like topics which I really liked what like they were talking about. I thought that this wasn't like something new. As like a criminal minds connoisseur, this is a sort of thing that I've kind of like seen a lot. Like there are a lot of episodes like this, so it wasn't like new by any stretch of imagination, but it was good in terms of the way the author put it across. Which is where we then get into writing. I would give this like in terms of writing, I would give this again a 7.5. I thought that it was good. It kept things crisp and clean, and I enjoyed it, but it was by no means like, oh my god, amazing, like this line I will underline because like so wonderful or anything like that. But it was good for like a thriller, which yeah, I liked. So 7.5 is good for me. Also, I think the best part about this book was like its pacing, because as I've said in like plenty of the other clips that you would have probably seen, that I just liked the way that like we were getting different perspectives and we were getting different timelines, so it just kept things like crisp and nice, and you just wanted to know what was happening. So I would give this like a 8.5 in terms of like pacing, and in terms of suspense I would give this like an 8, because there was like a thing that I guessed in the very beginning, like just in the very beginning, and I wrote it down in like this notes like app that I have, and I was just like, oh, this definitely happened. But as the book progressed, I was like, no way this happened. But in the end, I was right. So I was like, and then the thing that I thought I figured out, I was very wrong about. So I like the red herrings and all of that we sort of got throughout. So I thought that it was very well framed in terms of that. And yeah, there were a lot of things that like you definitely were kept guessing about. The only thing which I feel like it fell short of was the characterizations and the characters. There were some good characters for sure, however I didn't see them as being very like three-dimensional, and some of the things that the characters did just felt a little off to me. Like I was just like, there's no way that people would actually do this in reality. So like logic wise, this book definitely fell short, and especially logic of characters. So yeah, that's generally what I thought of this book. This was like a solid 4-star read for me, and like in terms of my rankings, it's probably gonna be on maybe like a mid, somewhere in the middle of the road sort of thingy. I'm hoping that there are going to be better books, but this was still a solid read, and would, as I said, recommend to people who want like a nice thriller. Yeah, moving on. Today is actually going to be a really busy day for me because I have like an unhaul happening where I have unhauled 140 books, and I am selling them online on my Instagram. So I have to kind of like get them all together and put them here and like photograph them and like reply to people and like get them sold essentially. So that's gonna be like really annoying. Also, I also wanted to bring attention to the t-shirt that I was wearing last night, which I've continued to wear because I love it, because it's so cute. So it's like Loki, but it's a like a Loki, which is like a bottle god. Wearing it, and I just think that it's so cute because a bottle god in Hindi is Loki, and Loki. Anyway, you get what I mean. Today is actually going to be pretty busy, so there's that. But I have started reading The Push, and I totally see what you mean by this. I think that it's really good in terms of like the chapters, which are just so short that you just want to like compulsively read. But I'm not too much into it. I'm just about like maybe 40-50 pages into it, and then I'd like keep it down and then film this. So yeah, I'm gonna continue reading and then also like prepare for my thingy. But yes, what I do want to say about this book though is that I find it slightly annoying because it is coming from like the second person's perspective, like a second, what is that thing called, where it's basically like the person's like, and then you did this and then you did that, so it's like addressing it in the second person's perspective. That's what it's called, right? And I might be terribly wrong. Oh my god, why did I study English? God knows. But that's all I have to say for now. I'm gonna go now and read and prep, and I will see you hopefully very soon when I have finished this book, hopefully, because like I need to like, yeah. Good morning. We are back to my favorite place, and yesterday was just like chaotic, but in like the best possible way, because there were so many people that came out and were so interested to buy my books, and I have a huge pile here which I'm going to show you now. I've sort of arranged them, but they're like all over my dining table now, and I don't think people of my house are very pleased with me, but they are gonna soon be shipped, and that's gonna be another like process. But like right now I've just been like following up people in terms of like money, but that's not what you're here for. I am here to talk about books, especially the GoodReads Choice Awards thriller, you know, nominees. And I am still reading The Push, and I have not finished it because I am at a point in this book where I know that something bad is gonna happen in the next few pages, and I'm just like, I don't want to read it, because like if I don't read it, it won't happen. I don't know if you do this too, where you're just like, if I don't read it, it will not happen, and then you just put it off. But that is not what I can afford to do, because I have to read so many books. So I am going to try to like read this book and then come back to you with like my thoughts. But let me just tell you that I am scared. But I also am super into this book, and I cannot believe that this is a debut author. It's ridiculous. Okay. Now let's talk about my feelings about The Push, because this was the only clip from the vlog that I could not like salvage. But like, hey, The Push was such an amazing book. I cannot believe that I took so long to read this, because especially everyone, I don't know, everyone in my comments was just like, yo, you have to read this book. I need to see what your thoughts are about this book. And like, I am so glad I read this one. So just very quickly, because I don't know if I've told you exactly what this book is about. Essentially, we are following this mother, this lady who was just given birth to this child, and she doesn't seem to be like getting along with this child. Initially it could be like, we thought that maybe it was like postpartum, she doesn't seem to be able to connect with the child, we don't know what's up, but then slowly we see that things are maybe like not what they seem, and it could be like more serious, menacing, I don't know, but just generally, holy shit, this book was a trip. I absolutely loved this one. In terms of the plot itself, I'm going to give this an 8.5, because like it just did like, it didn't do a lot, but whatever it did do, it did really well. So 8.5. In terms of the writing, 9, because like, holy shit, I cannot believe that like she wrote this as a debut author. Still can't believe it. The part where it was of the second perspective still sort of like irritated me in the beginning, and like, because it keeps going, and then you did this, and then you did this, and then you did this, so like that like that still irritates me just a little bit. So 9. The characters itself were really fleshed out, and you really could see like them being like people, and they have still stuck with me. So like 9 over there as well. Pacing as well, the chapters were just so short and like brilliant. So I'm gonna have to give this like a 9.5 because it just really went by really fast. And like I just wanted to like not stop, except for that one time I really wanted to stop because I was just like, I don't want to know what happens. You know what I mean? But yeah, if it weren't for that, I would have just read it in like inhaled it. So like 9.5 in terms of the rating. And then I think like the suspense wise, I'm again gonna give this a 9 because like it truly felt like almost horror-y. You know what I mean? Sometimes where like you were like, oh, is this postpartum or is this like just in her head? We don't know. And then like you just kept moving back and forth between that with like the character herself. But it's just honestly like amazing. This was just an amazing book, and I absolutely loved it. I would so highly recommend this one. Absolutely amazing. Chef's kiss. Mwah, wonderful. Well, you have no, that's a lie. I have not recorded in a while. You have seen me just a second ago, but I just got a root canal, which is why I'm trying to like hide my face. Cause yeah, it's still, you know. Anyway, in the last few days I have been feeling some discomfort with my tooth, and I had to get a root canal because that's what the dentist said that needed to happen. But before that, I got to eat some shumai, which was fun. And I took a video for you to see. I tried to make it cool. Also, the shumai is not that big. It is just the plate that is that small, which is why it looks like giant dumplings. But anyway, other news is that I finished Razorblade Tears, so that is great. I am here to talk to you about it. So essentially, Razorblade Tears, I don't know if I told you what it's about, but essentially it's about two dads whose sons were married to each other. These two dads were not very okay with their like gay relationship, and then these two sons were murdered brutally. So then these two dads who were convicts of in their previous life, they like, well, they murdered people, and now they're on the straight. But like they decide to team up to try to figure out what happened to their sons and then like exact revenge. But then there's a lot that happens during that, and there's a plot that is uncovered. So yeah, so that's basically what it is. I liked this book. This was really hyped, but it turned out really well. I think in terms of like the best parts of this is the plot, and the characters. I feel like the two main characters, which are the two fathers, they were like they were unlikable to an extent where like I didn't like the fact that like they were so, I don't know, I just like the homophobia. Like I understand it because they were like from the south, they're of a certain generation, but sometimes it's just hard to read as well, you know. I don't know if you get what I mean. But yeah, like it's fine. They got around to it, but like, well, it just sucks because like when your kids were around, you weren't okay with it. So now that your kids are dead, you're just like, oh, I feel bad. But well, it's fine. It's fine. So the characters were interesting. Characterization, I'm gonna give this an 8. With regards to the plot as well, I'm gonna give it an 8 because I liked what was happening. Though I did feel that the pacing was a bit slow. So for the pacing, I'm gonna give this like a 6.5 or like a 7, 6.5, 7, yeah, one of those. Writing, I think I'm gonna give this, well, okay, here's the thing, right? There were certain lines that came across that I was just very confused by because I was just like, what does that even mean? I get that you're trying to make it literary, but it didn't make sense. So, ow. So I think I'm gonna give this like a 7. 7. I'm gonna give it a 7. Yes. So writing is a 7. And then suspense, I mean, I think I figured it out pretty fast. So like it wasn't like a shock to me what like the twist. So I think I would give this like a 6 6 6. I would give it a 6 in terms of suspense as well. So yeah, that's generally my thought. I still think that it is a good book and deserves to be read, though I don't think that like the hype that it has is like it deserves the hype. You get what I mean? Because as I said, like there are some sentences which were just off to me, and it could be just me, but I don't know. Anyway, that is that. I am gonna go wallow in pain and see you next time. Hello there, mate. I am talking like an Australian. Am I? I don't know. Because I am done with another book and this was set in Australia, so I thought I would do that, but I'm clearly terrible at it. I also have not come and spoken to you on camera for a couple of days because after my root canal, like that day I spoke to you, but the next day my face got more swollen up from this side. I don't know if you can make out, but this part of my face is like slightly more swollen than this part of my face. I can't laugh even, like don't make me laugh, okay? But yeah, that's basically what it was. It's getting better now, but it's still like I had to deal with a lot of pain in my facial area, if that makes sense, which is why I'm not like the best dressed or anything, but that doesn't really matter. Anyway, you're here to talk about books, and that's what I am here to do. So the book that I finished is The Good Sister by Sally Hepworth. Whatever, it's here. You can see the book here. And this was an interesting book. I actually sped through it because it has one of my favorite tropes, which is of an unreliable narrator. And a lot of people do not like unreliable narrators, and I get that. And a lot of times it's not done very well. But in this instance, I think that it was done like decently, not like oh my god A game, but like I thought it was done pretty decently. But yeah, essentially it follows two sisters. One is named Rose, one is named Fern, and we get to see most of the book from Fern's perspective, who is like not very like neurotypical. She clearly has some issues, and it's not like fully like said as to what, like maybe bits of autism, I'm not too sure, but yeah, like she has problems with sights and sounds and all of that sort of stuff. And then we get to see the book also from Rose's perspective, but we get to see it in journal entries which she is writing, because her psychiatrist is like, you should write in a journal, because she's like separating / trying to get back with her husband. It's like this whole shindig. But yeah, essentially like as the book progresses, you realize that something's not right and you don't know who is the good sister, if that makes sense to you. But yeah, essentially that's what the book is about. I didn't get like the whole like thrillery aspect from this one as well just as much, but like it still was interesting to try to figure out the unreliableness of like which one. So let's just get into the like aspects of the book or my criteria. So in terms of plot, I'm going to give this, let me just like refer back to my notes. Okay, just hold on one second. Alright, so with the first criteria we have plot. So with plot, I'm going to give this like, I don't know, I'm somewhere between like 7 and 7.5 because there wasn't, again, like as I would say, like a really like intense plot per se, but I liked the way that it was written. Again, with writing, I'm going to give this a 7.5 because I thought that it was very, I wouldn't say like oh my god brilliant writing again, but like it was done really well in terms of just like putting it together and giving you all these various perspectives and all of that. So 7.5 in my like terms is good. It's decent. It's not like blew my socks off, you know what I mean? Then yeah, that's 7.5 in terms of writing. In terms of characters, I would again give this a 7.5. Yeah, I would give this a 7.5 because while I think the characters were well sketched out, actually, you know what, I think I'm gonna give it an 8 because I like the way that she kind of handled the side characters as well. Like the side characters had like a bit of character and like personality and all of that, and they kind of added to the plot. So I think the way that she did that, I really liked. So I'm probably gonna give it an 8. And with pacing, I think the pacing was the best part about this book. I really zoomed through it. I think the last like 200 pages I just read like really super duper fast. Yeah, I would give this like maybe a 8.5 in terms of pacing. It was good. It was good in terms of that. And suspense, I mean, I kind of saw where this was going. It wasn't a very like suspenseful twists and turns and all of that sort of stuff. Like, sure, there were twists, but there weren't like, oh my god, twists, that you kind of didn't see coming or anything like that. At least things that I didn't see coming. I kind of figured it out a bit. So I'm going to give it a 7 with regards to suspense. So those were my overall thoughts with regards to the book. Now I have put up on like YouTube what should be like. I've let you guys decide what my next book should be, and I've given you 3 options which you can see here, and you have chosen The Night She Disappeared by Lisa Jewell. Now I'm happy that this is there because Lisa Jewell, I've read just one book of hers, but like it just went by like super duper fast. So I'm happy that that has happened because I really need to catch up with like regards to like pages read, because we are close to the 30th, and that's when the top 10 are going to be announced, and I just want to, then after that we don't really have too much time, so just I gotta get with it. And like this root canal thing and everything, just like so yeah, I'm gonna go read the book. I don't quite remember what it was about, but I will come back and like update you about it. But yeah, that is me and my big cheek here signing off. Remember when I was like, oh my god, a Lisa Jewell book, like it goes by so fast. Even though it's a 480 page book, it'll be fine because like I read her previous book, which is the only book of Lisa Jewell that I ever read, in one day. So it'll be okay, and I was wrong. Who knew? But yes, that's basically what happened. I mean, I finished it in 2 days instead of 1 day, but like it was still a bit of a slog. I mean, this book I would easily categorize as meh, just so meh. I was like, Jesus, get over with it. But let me tell you what it's about first, and then like, yeah, essentially it's we are following 2 different timelines. One is like 2016-ish, where we are seeing like this one girl who is quite young. She's about like 19 years old, and she's just had a baby. She lives with her boyfriend and her mum. The boyfriend is the father of the child, and she and her boyfriend go missing. Like they go out one night and then they go missing. So we see we are in the past, and we get to see it from the girl's perspective, and then we also see it from her mom's perspective in the past, and then in the current day. And then in the current day, which is about 2018, which is when this book is set, we are following the mom, but we're also following this other lady, like this girl, who has moved to town. It's a small English like village of sorts, and she's moved to town, and like she's a like a thriller mystery writer, and she's like just curious about like this case. She gets to know about it, and she essentially gets tangled up in this like investigation to try to figure out what exactly happened to these 2 people. And yeah, that's basically the whole situation. That pretty much sums it up without me having to give you spoilers. But I thought that this book was meh, as I've said before. Alright, let's just get into it. I think that one of the main things that held this book back from being like an okay book and made it a extremely meh book to me was the characterizations. For characterizations, I'm gonna have to give this like a 5 max, because I was just like, one, I didn't care about any of the characters, like perhaps 1 or 2, and there were many trust me. But I just didn't care about them. And two, there were some characters that I just didn't understand why they were doing certain things, or like how they were even like these sort of people. Like it just, I was like, I don't think a person will react this way. Especially towards the end, and this one particular character, I was just like, huh, like no. So I think, yeah, that was one of the main things, because in terms of the plot, I would still give it like a 7, because like it did everything. Like there's an unsolved mystery, we are seeing it in the past, we're seeing it currently, we're like, we're trying to figure it out. But other than like, yeah, the characters just like also the pacing, I'm gonna give this maybe like a 6.5 maybe, because it it dragged for me a little bit. Like it wasn't like, oh my god, what is happening now, but I just felt like it just needed to be a little more like snappier. I would have just made it like a happier like read for me, you know what I mean? What is next? Writing, I'm gonna give this a 7. It wasn't bad, it wasn't good, it was good, it was fine, it was nothing like I can complain about, but not like, oh, genius. And then again, suspense, I'm gonna have to give this like a 6, because it was interesting as to like seeing it like pan out, but then the end, I was just like, yeah. So didn't like the way things wrapped up with this one. Is this a book that I would recommend to people? Probably not. If you're looking for like a time pass read and don't mind reading like a 3.5 star max, I think, then sure, why not? But this is one of the lesser of the Lisa Jewells, I think. So it sucks, because yeah, but I still will read more Lisa Jewells. I think that she writes like interesting mysteries. So there's that. Today is the 29th and tomorrow is the 30th. So we have the semi-finalists finally coming out. I am very excited to see who the top 10 will be. So yeah, I can't wait. Hopefully I would have read a few of them already through this. But if not, then good luck to me. Anyway, that is all for now. I'm just gonna go and sleep, I think. Yeah. Okay. Well, guess what? the top 10 is out. And turns out, those books that I read, like the 5 books that I read, 3 of them didn't make it to that list. So that whole thing of me just like sitting down and trying to figure out like the most rated and like the most read and all of that sort of stuff didn't matter. So that's just amazing. So I have 6 more books to read. So that's wonderful. And I don't have too much time, because now it's the 30th and I have till like the 6th. So like basically I have a week to read 6 books, and some of them are big ones. So I am just gonna stop this recording and get to the reading, because like I don't have time no more. I'm dead. I'm dead. Well, it turns out that Arsenic and Adobo made it to the top 10. Surprisingly, I don't know why, because it is definitely in my top 10 of my worst reads of the year. Like, I get that it's supposed to be a cozy mystery, but like, give cozy mystery a little more credit is what I would like to say, because that book was just not it. I don't know what people are thinking. If you like it though, I guess good for you. But I personally thought that it was really terrible. I read it for like when I was reading like Asian thrillers and mysteries during the Asian readathon. So I can link you to that and some of my thoughts that I had during it. But I will just generally tell you, like, what my thoughts were here, and that was that it was trash. It was honestly not great. Like, it's essentially about this girl who comes back to her hometown to help her aunt with her restaurant, and then while she is doing that, her ex, who is a food critic, drops dead at the restaurant. So she becomes like the like main person who they think may have like done the murdering. So but then what she decides to do is like solve the mystery herself, because like she wants to solve it so that like the crime scene, which is the restaurant, can just go back to working, because right now it has to remain shut while the investigation is still on. And that all sounds great, right? But it was not. The characters were just all over the place. The writing was all over the place. It was her first book, the author's first book, so I will definitely give her like some leniency with regards to that. But I mean, don't keep your expectations so low from a cozy mystery that you just let this sort of stuff slide. You know what I mean? I sound really bitter right now, so I'm just gonna stop and say that I didn't have the best thoughts for this book. Yeah, that's all I'm gonna say. I'm just gonna let you get back to the rest of the vlog. Hello there, mate. We are back again with a new book that I have finished, thank God. And if you are noticing that things are different at the back, it's because I bought some LED lights, but they're here just like temporarily. Like, that's why it's like, you know, fallen off and stuff. I haven't stuck things yet, and it's not gonna be here. I just wanted to see how things look and get used to it, but I'm probably gonna like change things around. So let's not like judge me for my design aesthetic, and instead talk about the book that I finished. And I am really surprised with this one. So I finished The Last Thing He Told Me by Laura Dave, and I had seen this being like super hyped, because it was a Race with a Spoon like book club selection, and that was the first time I heard of it. And then after that, it was like set to be like optioned to be a movie with like Julia Roberts, I think, but now I think it's going to be Jennifer Garnett. So just like a Gardner? What is her name? Garnett. Yes. You know what I mean. Anyway, so yeah, so it was really hyped. A lot of people really liked it. A lot of people thought that it was meh. And I am on the bandwagon of I really liked it, because I think that like it was hyped low for me, because people were just like, oh, it's not really that good, that I went in with much lower expectations, which is always a good thing. But anyway, let's just talk about like what the book is about. It's essentially about this woman called Hannah, who is about 30s, like late 30s, early 40s. She is married to this man named Owen, who's like a coder in this big company, and she has a stepdaughter, Bailey, who's about 16 years old. And essentially what happens is that in the very beginning we see that there's something that's wrong with the company. Like basically they are there's some fraud or whatever that happens, and the husband just disappears, and we don't know why he disappears, but he just sends her a note that says protect her. Like, by her I mean Hannah, the stepmom, and says protect her. And then that's basically where it goes from there, just her trying to figure out what actually happened and all of that sort of stuff. So I've seen a lot of people say that this book should be like categorized as a family drama and not too much of a mystery and thriller, but I think that it definitely was. So like a mystery thriller thingy. So let's just get into like the aspects and my criteria, and I'll talk about the book more through that. So the first thing that I want to talk about is the suspense and the pacing, because I feel like those are the best parts about this book. I feel like with regards to suspense, I would give this a solid 8, because I did not see things coming, but that was because of the pacing, because it was so fast paced and there was just so much happening in a good way. Like it just was like very tight and taut, if you get what I mean. So with regards to that, I'm gonna give it a 9, which I think is definitely like huge. And yeah, so that's why with the pacing and the suspense, all of that just worked together really well. So with regards to writing, I'm going to give this a, well, with the writing, I'm probably going to give this a 8. Yeah, with an 8, because again, I think that this was good writing. I think that for a debut writer, this was like beyond amazing. But again, it wasn't something that like completely like blew me away with like lines that I was just like, holy shit, you know what I mean? So yeah, I would still give this like an 8 for writing. For characters, I'm gonna give this a 7.5, because while I understood most of the characters, like I understood the main person, I just wish we got like a little more from it. I don't think 7.5 is bad under any circumstances, but I feel like 7.5 is worthy of like describing the character work that we got through this book. And I feel like it'll be like a great movie, because it really is like taught, and I can see it like being portrayed on the screen. I feel like it'll be a really, really good one. And this is a book that I'll definitely recommend to people who want like a nice quick sort of read. But is it like going to be a new favorite again? I don't think so. So yeah, that's what I have to say for now with regards to this book. I am a little behind, so I'm gonna read The Wife Upstairs next. It's in front of me there, but like I don't want to pick it up because I don't want to get up from here right now because frame. But anyway, yeah, that's what I'm gonna read. I know that The Wife Upstairs is essentially like sort of a retelling or like inspired by Jane Eyre, and I am not a fan of Jane Eyre because I tried to read it when I was very young. I was probably like 11 years old, and I tried reading it and I was like, what the fuck is this? And it was probably like the worst time, because like what is a 9-year-old gonna like, or an 11-year-old gonna understand of Jane Eyre? But I feel like it's just because of that I have like this block in my head. But this is a thriller version of the book, I guess. So if I like this book, hopefully I will then read Jane Eyre too. I don't know, but well, that's all for now. I'll see you very, very soon. I think I may have fixed like the back. I think it looks kind of cool, right? I don't know. But I am here not to talk to you about lighting, but to talk about a book that I finished, which is The Wife Upstairs by Rachel Hawkins, and I straight up did not like this book. I had a terrible time while reading it. It was just ugh. I mean, it wasn't a slog to read, like pacing wise it was all right, but like I'm probably gonna have to give this like maybe like a 7 in terms of pacing. But the characters were the worst. I did not like any of them. They just annoyed me. They're very unlikable, and I'm okay with unlikable characters. Like on page, I'm okay with them. I like them. I think they are interesting to read, but these were not interesting. These were just straight up unlikable. I don't think there was a single person in this book that I liked, except maybe the dog, but the dog didn't really like do anything. It was a dog, so yeah, that's great, right? Oh man, I don't know. Okay, so plot wise, okay, so character wise, I'm gonna have to give this like a 5 on 10. It was okay, like they were described and all of that, but like just bleh. The next is in terms of the plot. Now let me tell you what the plot of this book was. Essentially, we are following this person called Jane, though that may not be her name because she comes from troubled like a background and she doesn't want to tell us what happened in the past, etc. But like anyway, we are following her, who is basically this dog walker for this very rich part of town. And she essentially seduces this one guy called Eddie Rochester, who is a person who has just lost his very wealthy wife. And like yeah, they end up starting to date, and then like she starts living with him, and we get to see her and what happened, but also like the wife, we're getting to see what happened to her, and we get like these diary entries from her, and I don't want to spoil anything in case you do want to read this book, but yeah, it is interesting. I then went and did like I went and just googled Jane Eyre to see like what was the situation, and like it does follow it to a certain extent, but it does like change things around as well. So I think that was interesting. The end was a bit surprising, but honestly I just didn't care. So yeah, so in terms of the plot, I'm probably again going to give this a 5. In terms of the writing, I'm going to give this a 5 again, because like I don't know, I didn't like it. Also, weirdly, there were a lot of like swear words in this book, which I don't have a problem with because I swear like a sea captain. But like I'm just letting you know, like I was surprised by the amount of like swear words and curse words in the book, in the writing itself. So yeah, so in terms of writing, 5.5 max maybe. And then in terms of what else do I have? I have to tell you, yeah, suspense wise 7, suspense wise 7, and pacing wise 7. So there we have it. I am glad I finished this book. Next, what do I start reading? I don't know. But I will let you know soon enough what I will start reading, and then I will come and tell you about it, because that's what I do here. Guess where I went? To the dentist. Of course. Where else will I go? I feel like I've gone to the dentist more this week and a half than I have like in my entire life, and that's probably like saying something, and it's probably the reason why I am going to the dentist so much. But on my way back, I was like looking for a cab, and I couldn't find one. It was taking too long, and then I saw a bus that was passing by, which was honestly the same like number bus that I would take from going from my college to back home. So I got really excited and I got onto it, and that's when I started reading Harlem Shuffle. So I'm just like a few like pages in, to be honest, with Harlem Shuffle, because I got home and then I had to pack all of the what's it called, like the books that I was unhauling, and because the courier guy was coming over, so you can see what it looked like in the end. This is the entire bunch of books that I sent out. It was about 50 kgs worth, and yeah, like hopefully all the people who bought from me will be getting their books super soon, so fingers crossed with regards to that. But what happened last night was that I finished Rock Paper Scissors, and that's what I'm here to talk to you about. So the book is about a man and wife who go off on like this vacation of sorts for like a weekend, to celebrate the anniversary or something, I'm not too sure. But yeah, they basically go off to this chapel that has been converted into like a house, and it's in the middle of a snowstorm, and they get there and it's a little creepy, and they start hearing noises, etc. So they're like basically dealing with like this place being creepy, but also like their marriage that is seemingly like maybe falling apart. But also in the other chapters, we are getting these letters that the wife has written to the husband, and like of each year, so each anniversary she writes like a letter, and through that we kind of see like how the relationship went and all of that. So I really like that. And then we also get the perspective of this other person called Robin, who's just like a person who lives around them, and it's kind of creepy. And through the book we kind of see what happens and what kind of transpires. But I was like, I actually really like this book. I went through it super fast because I really wanted to know what happened, and yeah, so let's just get into like me talking about the book based on like criteria, shall we? So the best thing about this book, I think, was the suspense aspect of it, for which I'm gonna have to give this like a 9 on 10, because there were so many things and so many twists that like I personally did not see coming. There were things that I assumed it to be, and then I was really wrong about it. So yeah, like A1 with regards to that. Also, like, the end had like these 3 different twists, and I was just like, wait, what? So yeah, so that was really cool. And as I said, the pacing was really good as well, and for that I'm gonna have to give this like an 8.5, because I was really like zooming through the book to try to understand what was happening. And for that, I guess I would also give the writing an 8.5, because there were a lot of lines that I really liked within this. Like, there were a lot of things that I actually highlighted. I know, like, in the past I've been like, oh, there weren't any lines that I highlighted, hence I'm gonna give this like a 7.5 or something. But yeah, in this one I actually was highlighting quite a few lines which I thought were really well constructed as well, and I also thought that it was well done in terms of writing, in terms of like just seeing how fast it went and like all of that sort of stuff. For character work, I'm going to give this a 7, because I didn't think that this was the best, but I did like the characters that were put forth, and like, yes, they were believable in certain ways, and yeah, I liked the thing that was done. So 7 is solid, as I've said. And as for plot, I'm gonna give this a 7.5, because like, it wasn't anything that was like out of the blue, amazing, never seen before, never done before sort of stuff. However, as I said, like, the suspense and pacing was well done, but in terms of the story itself, like you just described to me the plot of it, not meh, it was fine. So yeah, that's where we are right now. I am now going to go finish off Harlem Shuffle soon enough, hopefully. It feels like a book that is like super slow, and I'm also like super tired. So let's see what happens with regards to that. Anyway, that's it with that. I'm gonna go read now. Okay. We have a problem, and the problem is that I am not liking this book. I think not liking is not the right phrase, but like, not enjoying as of this moment, perhaps. I don't know if that makes it better, but essentially, the main problem that I have is that I do not think that this book should be in the mystery and thriller category. It should be in the historical fiction category. And clearly the people of GoodReads do not read the books to know which one it should be in, because the blurb says that it's about like a heist and like all of that sort of stuff that happens in Harlem during the 50s and 60s. Like, that's the time period that we're in. But that happened, and it wasn't even like, it wasn't the main meat of the book. That happened in literally a few pages, and then we were just dealing with the repercussions, and now we've shifted timelines and gone to another thing, and it's like a whole anyway, my point is that this book is really good in terms of like describing the time, describing the people, describing everything that was happening in Harlem at the time, also just generally New York and that like world essentially. It has great writing, because of course Colson Whitehead has written this book, and it's like, you know, it's very well done. He's won 2 Pulitzers, so like, I'm not surprised that it's good writing. I've read one of his books before, which is Underground Railroad, which I can see right there. It's a good book, but I'm bored shitless. Like, I'm waiting for the mystery thriller aspect of this book, and it's just not there. So I am confused by it. So it's really like, why? Uh, do you get what I mean? I hope you understand what I mean. It's just like misaligned expectations. If I had gone into this thinking that it's a historical fiction book, I would have probably enjoyed it like way more. But I am 50% through with it, and I want to DNF this book, which is just like, what? Do you get what I mean? So yeah, that's how I'm feeling right now. I'm gonna sleep on this decision, and then if I continue reading it, great, I will come back to you and tell you my thoughts about the book. If not, then I'm gonna skip on ahead, because we don't have too much time. We do not have time. I need to read 2 more books, so, and one is a really chunky one, so I just don't wanna like waste my time. I'll probably like get back to this afterwards maybe, but I don't know. Let's sleep on this. Maybe I'll read a few more pages, see whether it catches my attention. If not, then this is unfortunately gonna be a DNF, And yeah, DNF for now. But yeah. Guess who has 2 thumbs and stayed up all night to read a book they weren't even enjoying? This guy! Yeah, I finished the book. What happened was that the third part, which is where I was planning to DNF the book, actually kind of got interesting. So there you have it. This is what always happens to me when I plan to DNF a book. It gets sort of interesting, and then I'm like, why the fuck not? It wasn't like the third part of the book was like game changing. I still kind of feel similar, like the feelings that I had before, the feelings that I have now. I feel like this book is solid in terms of writing. In terms of writing, let's get into criteria. Is like an 8.5, like really good, though like not good enough, because clearly, like in terms of the plot, I feel like there are 3 different like plot lines happening. Each like time we see like the book progress in terms of years, it's a different plot line. The second one being like the one that just like I didn't see the reason why it existed. It could have been way shorter, I don't know. Yeah, so that's basically where we're at in terms of the plot wise. I'm gonna give this maybe like a 6.5, 6 maybe. In terms of characters, I'm gonna give this a 7, because I did like the characters. You did get to see them grow, though I do feel like a lot of the side characters you didn't really get to see too much of them in terms of like I don't know, just like a well-rounded sort of situation. Pacing wise, I'm gonna give this like a 4.5, and in terms of what's it called, in terms of suspense, I'm gonna give this like a 4, because like there was no suspense. There was no suspense. This was not a mystery thriller book, it was a historical fiction. That's it. Yeah, I feel like I'm a little frustrated with this one. It should not have been in this category. I wholeheartedly disagree with anyone, the GoodReads jury or whoever they are, to have put this book in this category. It should just have been in historical fiction and not in mystery and thriller. Doesn't make sense. Anyway, I am just gonna now sleep for a few hours, and then like read this chunky book which I have to finish. So hopefully this will be good. I mean, Liane Moriarty writes some really interesting stories. I've not really read too many books of hers, though I have seen a lot of adaptations. So I guess that's why she's pretty popular right now. And this is basically about this woman who has gone missing. She's like a mother, like a elderly, like in her 60s, and her husband is like the prime suspect, and we follow 4 other the siblings, like children, and who are trying to figure out like what has happened to the mother and why she's gone missing and what has happened. From what I have understood is that there is a lot of tennis involved in this, so I think that's going to be really interesting, because I find the sport to be like very interesting. I like the sport. I think tennis is a really cool sport. I haven't slept, please, like I'm sorry, but yeah, that's basically what it is. And I think we like get to see a lot of like family dynamics and what exactly has happened with the mother. I'm not too sure. Let me read more and then let you know, I guess. But yeah, that's essentially what it is. Yeah, I'm gonna go sleep now. I need sleep. Or coffee, one of them. Okay, so I have finished this book and I will talk to you about it. But first, I have to tell you, I watched The Matrix, the original one, on the big screen, like an IMAX, like big screen, and I was so excited because I have never watched The Matrix like in the theater. We always had like a VCD, DVD, like we had a VCD when it first came out, and like I would watch it all the time. I just was like so in love with this idea. So I was just like really excited to like watch it. And my mom and my brother came with me as well, and they don't remember watching it, so like they forgot what like the movie was, and just they were so like in awe of it, and I was just like, right, isn't it amazing? Oh, I wish that like the part 2 and part 3 are also shown on the big screen, because that I think I watched, yeah, that I've watched in theaters, but I would love to watch it again in theaters. It would just be so amazing. It just, yeah, it just made me very, very happy. So I now have to put that aside, because we are pretty much on the last day uh, for this thing, because tomorrow I'm gonna have to vote in the GoodReads Stress Awards. Otherwise, like, there is no point of this vlog whatsoever. So luckily I just have one book left, and that is this one, which is The Maidens by Alex Michaelides. And I have borrowed this book from my friend Nishi, the Bombay Bookstagrammer on Instagram. She is awesome, and she lives like right around the corner, and I was like, hey Nishi, could I please borrow this book? Because like I don't want to spend money on this one, because I did not like what is it called, The Silent Patient, and I have heard like a lot of mixed reviews about this book. So I was just like, you know, I just really don't want to spend money on this one, so can I please borrow it from you? And she was like, yeah, sure. So I borrowed it. She's very sweet. So thank you so much, Nishi, for letting me borrow your book. So I'm gonna read this one, but before that, I finished this thickie. Apples Never Fall. And I have to say that I actually really liked this one. I thought that it was very interesting. It was a very interesting like family drama, character study sort of situation. And I would actually love to kind of see this on screen actually. So let's just get into like my thoughts as per like criteria and everything. But I think I've told you what this book is about. It's essentially, yeah, I have told you what this book is about, so I don't have to get into it. But the end was, I have to say, a bit of a letdown, but still overall, I think the character work was like really, really interesting. I felt like I knew like every character that this book spoke about. They may not feel like the most realistic, like some of them may not feel like the most realistic, but like towards the end I kind of saw where they were coming from. So in terms of character work, I'm gonna have to give this like a 8.5 to a 9, because I feel like that was like the entire point of this book. So like, yeah, that's where I would stand in terms of that. In terms of the plot itself, well, there wasn't much. It did follow just a couple of days, to be honest, this whole chunk of it, and also like went back into the past to kind of give us a better understanding of like the people and where they were coming from and all of that sort of stuff. But like the plot itself, I would give this maybe like a 7.5 or maybe an 8. I'm gonna have to think about it when I'm editing, so I'll put the actual number here somewhere. But yeah, like that's where I'm gonna have to put that. What's next? In terms of pacing, I'm gonna have to give this maybe 7.5 again, because I think that it was solid, even though like there was so much of it. I feel like it still did a good job in terms of like going through it pretty fast. I do have to say that the audiobook was really good. I checked it out on Audible, and I felt like it was great because it was an Australian accent, so I was like, whoa. I also listened to it at 3.5x speed. Like my brother like just walked into the room when I was listening to it, not on like my headphones, and he was just like, how are you understanding anything? And I was like, I don't know, but I just do. So yeah, I think that's also maybe a reason why I think like the pacing was fine for me. So yeah, that's where I'm gonna put that, like 7.5. It was fine. What do I miss? Writing. Writing, I'm gonna give this writing, I'm gonna give this an 8. Because I feel like she did great in terms of the character work, as I said, and in order to like and the dialogue and all of that was really like well done and was very like on point with the characters, you know what I mean? So I felt like that it made sense there. In terms of suspense, I'm gonna give this like a 6.7. I'm gonna give this a 7 because honestly towards the end, like I still didn't know where the mother was. I didn't know where she was. I didn't know what was happening. It did a good job in trying to like make you suspicious of people and stuff like that. So there's definitely, yeah, okay, so 7, but like it was okay. It was not like, oh, I'm like waiting on bated breath, but like it was okay. I feel like the whole point of this book is not going to be like the mystery aspect of it, but like the drama aspect of it. I think that is what is going to be the something that you should go into this book with. Like it was good in terms of the characters and in terms of like the family drama, and building these people out and building this family out, but it wasn't so much in terms of like, the mystery in terms of where did the mom go. So yeah, that's what that's what I feel for now. I am going to, yeah, those are my thoughts. Now I'm going to go and read this book. Now luckily I have the audiobook for this as well, thanks to Libro FM. So I'm gonna listen to this at 3.5x speed and then yeah, hopefully get done with this tonight, and then vote. Okay, I'm gonna go now. Okay. The sun is up, the birds are chirping. I have finished one box of pizza and one bottle of Coke. And I'm also done with this book, The Maidens by Alex Michaelides. Ooh, it does kinda shiny, but is it shiny in nature? From the inside, it is not. I did not like this book, but I also didn't dislike it as much as I thought I would, because I've seen a lot of like rant reviews, etc. about it on the internet, and like I think I had got my expectations so low that I was like, oh, okay, this wasn't like honestly as bad as I thought it would be, though like it is quite nonsensical. Like character work was like, what characters? Plot? What plot? so yeah, that's basically where we're at. Essentially the whole idea is that there's this lady whose husband has died, and she has like this adoptive like daughter who's actually like her niece, who goes to this college where there's been some murders. There's actually been one murder, like one of her friends has died, and so she goes up there to like kind of comfort her niece. She's also a therapist, but as soon as she goes there, she sort of like has this thing where she's like, I think this man killed this girl, and then she takes it upon herself to solve this murder, and then there are multiple other murders that happen as well, and she takes it upon herself to get herself into like the shittiest of situations, and undermine like the police investigation. Not like the police is doing like such a great job themselves, but like whatever. I was just like, why are you doing this? Why are you not telling people like what you have found? Why are you going into these places where you shouldn't be going? And like, why are you so dead set on like this one person? It didn't make sense to me. So yeah, I was like, okay. But yeah, so that's that. That's basically what the book is about. But in terms of the criteria, let's get into it. In terms of the plot itself, I'm going to give this like a 4, because like as I just explained, it didn't make sense, but like it had like little aspects of it that were interesting, but if like it were written better perhaps, which is again getting to the writing. I'm gonna give this a 4. Didn't like it. It wasn't the greatest. Characters also, I'm gonna give this like 4 again, because like they didn't make sense. Like, for example, there's this one, like the main character, every single man fell in love with her, like for no reason. She seemed really annoying, but every single character, every single man fell in love with her for like I don't know why. So make that make sense to me. Pacing wise, I'm gonna give this maybe like a 6.5, because like it did go by pretty fast, and honestly, like, yeah, I finished it in a night, right? So but if I would have gone much slower if I didn't have like a deadline. So yeah, maybe like 7 sounds good. And then what is the last one? Yes, suspense, I'm gonna give this, what have I written down? Yeah, a 5, because yeah, while I did not guess what happened, it was just so stupid that I wanted to die. I just, oh man, I didn't like this book. I'm so glad that I spent very little time on reading this, but I still wish that I didn't have to. So yeah, and the problem is that a lot of people are going to vote for this because a lot of people have read this book, or if they haven't, they have read like The Silent Patient and they've liked The Silent Patient, so they're probably going to vote for this, and that's why I don't like the GoodReads Choice Award. So that's where we're at for now. I'm gonna go now and sleep, and then I'm gonna place my vote, but in all probability I'm probably just gonna vote for The Push, because let's be honest, that was the best book that I read in this whole thing. But yeah, anyway, I'm just gonna go now, vote, or like sleep, vote, I don't know. But then I will come back to you with like all of my thoughts and rankings and all of that sort of stuff. So okay. Alright, we are here at the end. If you are here watching this, holy shit, thank you so much. Honestly, I was editing this clearly, and like it's a long video, so thank you so much for staying on till the end. If you did stay on till the end, can you like tell me somehow through like a fun emoji, like any sort of technology, because technology has failed me in this video, or a tooth, because like seriously, like anything, all of my terrible things that have happened to me during this video. So yeah, that would be fun. But yeah, essentially, just to wrap it up, my top 13 like were very different than what the actual top 10 were, or like what the actual winner was. Actually, not so much. My number 2 is actually the last thing he told me, and that turned out to be the winner. So there we go. That's great. I'm not so displeased by it. I don't know. Words fail me. Everything's failing me for this video, but it's fine. I like reading it, as you saw. My favorite, of course, has to be The Push. I thought that it was just stunning, amazing. What a revolutionary sort of book. It did. Then number 3 was Rock Paper Scissors. I think it did a really good job. Sure, like the plot itself was a little like contrived, but that's cool. Apples Never Fall, surprisingly, was my next, because I thought that it was just a really good like family drama and very like character heavy, which I really like. So I thought that was really good and worked for me. The Good Sister is next for me because I really like an unreliable narrator sort of like situation. I just like to be like guessing and wondering who really is like the person who is good or bad, like in quotes. Local Woman Missing, as I said, was just an overall fun read, and then that's where I'm gonna like cut it. Those would be my recommendations. If I had to recommend you to read like a thriller and mystery, these would be it. The rest I think were alright. Let me just tell you what I thought were meh, and then stuff which I would recommend that you do not read. So in my meh category is Razorblade Tears. I think that like the concept etc is great, but like as I've said, I think the writing was a little weird for me. Like there were instances which I just did not understand, and I thought like it was a little too try hard. If that makes sense. But yeah, like overall, I liked it. Billy Summers, as I've said, it's a good book. Stephen King is a great writer, but it did have too many like ups and downs in terms of the pacing, and just like it just really felt like two separate books. And like I don't know, I just didn't quite like the end. There was only like a little bit in between that I liked. It was all right. The Night She Disappeared also was an okay book, but for a 480 pager, like no thank you. Harlem Shuffle is a no for me. It's great as like a historical fiction, but again, as I said, like just 3-parters, please. Just The Wife Upstairs, absolutely terrible. The actually not absolutely terrible. It was fine. Just I didn't like it. The Maidens also, I didn't like it. And Arsenic and Adobo, I would not wish on, well, my acquaintances. Not my enemies. My name is GoodReads, that's fine. So those were like the 13 books of the GoodReads challenge thing that I read. I had fun while reading it, sort of. I mean, you saw what I was going through, but well, hopefully next year, or if I do plan to do this, it will be like I have learned a lot of lessons during this process. So yeah, I'll just keep all of those things in mind. But that's really all for now. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this, like hit the thumbs up, subscribe, all of that sort of stuff. And thanks. I'm just gonna go now. I'm gonna stop. Alright, see you in my next video. Bye!